Do you find yourself checked out of Path of Exile? Have you ever cleared an entire map and then sat aimlessly in your hideout wondering what you're even farming for? Are you running off of pure routine alone and don't know why you are still engaging in a league where the only people playing are Empyrean Gaming, who is making a full projectile speed character and thousands of Chinese bots, upcharging you in return for social credit? Well, then you've come to the right place, Exile. In most other games, the act of losing all your progress is infuriating and often brings a rage that can only be calmed by a relaxing session of your favorite online PvP game with your Discord e-kitten.
Oh my, mommy, I need a heal!
Oh yeah, you need a heal, come here!
But in Path of Exile, this wipe is seen more as a relief or cleanse from the previous league. In one moment, all of your impurities and fuck-ups from the last league no longer matter, and you can begin anew. However, with Path of Exile moving more and more into a 4-month league schedule as opposed to the previous 3-month league schedule, the gap in time between each cleansing session is growing larger. Many more are feeling the fatigue of End League than in previous years. But fear not, my little pupils, for I have climbed the mountain to enlightenment. I have seen the truth, and more importantly, I have gone through the experience of purchasing a 1C item 3 months into a league. There is nobody better at explaining how we can squash this End League fatigue than yours truly. So, for the first time in your life, do not treat the hideout as lava, and simply pay attention before you aimlessly open another map to obtain the dopamine hit just large enough to open another one.
I'm in the thick of it, everybody.
In many other games, you hear outcries from their very colorful communities about microtransactions and how spending $10 to make my hot man or woman look like a hot man or woman is not worth its weight in gold. But because the game we all love is incredibly ethical, they have the ability to earn free skins and effects simply by playing their game in a unique way. And by free skins, I don't mean spending 10 hours of grinding to make the orange on your suit into diarrhea instead, but actually cool looking skins I would not be embarrassed to post a YouTube video wearing. The Night Lotus set from Affliction League is easily one of the best looking armors in any video game, but more importantly, it turns your red health bar purple instead. Did I grind over 10 hours just so that I could have my health bar replaced by a glowing purple version with no actual gameplay differences? Yes, and I can quit whenever I want. My point with this incredibly well thought out tirade is that if you feel the urge to continue your Path of Exile grind even in the late months, then there is a set of objectives made for you to work towards. These challenges are incredibly rewarding, but can come at the cost of a few divines, and in some cases, your sanity. In order to get the full set of microtransactions, you will usually need to complete around 36 of these bad boys, which sounds like a lot until you realize that there are around 10 to 15 challenges every league that just rely on your ability to log in. These challenges can vary wildly from piss easy baby mode to I think the creator of this challenge needs to reevaluate their life, as it cannot be healthy to have these high of expectations on another human being. Some common ones that you will find nearly every league are Peddler's Produce, where you have to Google the vendor recipes for several different items because if you have them memorized, then you are a nerd. T17s. Ever since the introduction of these absolutely and maps, there has been a goal to clear a certain number of them in some super and way. Uber bosses. If you do not make an Uber killer build, then I hope you are okay with spending your precious doubloons for someone else to do it, or you are fine with doing some of the more horrible challenges instead. Grinding gear goals, commonly made up of a few grindy objectives that you will need to complete 4 of. These range in CBT levels from hitting level 100 for those of you who enjoyed the smell of your own musk, to killing Azaro's dog 100 times for all of my Vic defenders. I do not believe I am a hardcore player despite the many hours I have lovingly placed into this game, and I am consistently able to get all of the microtransactions every time. For my sweatier few, if you decide to take on the task of completing all 40 challenges, you will then earn a totem with the league symbol on it. If I am going to trade and I find one of these totems, I will have to take the forbidden action in Path of Exile. that being to complete the trade and then not say thank you.
They suck on my Joker till I busk it!
For those of you that find creating and setting goals for yourself to be incredibly challenging because that would involve not only taking control of your own life, but also means that you will have to take responsibility for your actions, then this section is for you. People in games often set unreasonable goals for themselves and others, making goals such as, I will reach 20k rating in CS2, I will win a game of Apex every day, and I will have fun in League of Legends. Despite Path of Exile not being a PvP game, people can often find themselves in the same situation. Setting a goal of farming for a Mageblood only works if your farming method is greater than 1 div per hour. Setting realistic goals is what Path of Exile is about, because while there are challenges and endgame bosses, there is nothing gatekeeping you from doing whatever you want, except your will to do so. But regardless of what your drive is, you also must realize that statistically, you are not a PoE content creator, and you will not have the 12 hours a day to grind what they do. So along with setting a goal that will last you for a while, you must also make sure that goal is reasonable. For the vast majority of us Path of Exile maniacs, who are so insane that we try to play this game while having a normal 9 to 5, we will most likely not reach a Mageblood in the first 3 days. That is not saying that getting a Mageblood isn't a good goal to work towards, but unless you enjoy the prospect of being homeless, then you will need to understand that goals take time. And another important note is that getting a Mageblood isn't everything. While it is a very common goal that many strive for, it is not the end of the world if you quit the league without one. Example goals can be reaching a certain amount of div per hour, reaching a certain amount of DPS, making a build that is able to breeze through any content of your choice. A goal that I often go for is making a build that can either farm all content comfortably or can uber farm one content extremely fast. Despite having so many hours in this game, I have not played very many types of builds. Most of my 2,000 hours have been bow builds and some generic spellcasters. When I branched out recently and tried the melee and minor builds, they were some of the most fun I've ever had. So a common goal I make for myself is to try a new build type, and not a half-assed attempt. I mean full on trying to play something new with a decent budget. These are just what I look for in games, trying out new things, and so that's what my goal reflects. Some of you may just want the most powerful builds you can possibly make. Some live off of seeing health bars go down faster, and that's fine, because you can easily set a goal for that. Be realistic, but also be you.
Because he is.
God game.
Capitalism has a stranglehold on the American market, so much so that it has even seeped into our precious gaming lives. Why would you grow and cultivate your own wheat so that you can make homemade bread for dinner, when in that same time you could deal with the most vile human beings that mankind has to offer and afford to buy that bread instead? Many of us fall into this trap of being a permanent trade resident, and can only ever think of items and upgrades in terms of time. If I want my build to increase by a whopping 5% DPS, then I will need to farm for about 1.5 hours to afford to do so. This way of thinking not only will suck you further into the rabbit hole of your capitalist overlords, but can also make PoE seem like a purely transactional game. You give it time, and it gives you progress. This also takes a massive dip into your sanity into the later parts of the league, where the player base shrinks by 10 times, and doing something as simple as buying an item that is less than a divine takes 30 minutes of clicking every name that pops up. SSF, or Solo Self-Found, is a mode in Path of Exile, similar to the normal game, except as the name entails, you cannot trade and must farm for everything yourself. Many things in the game can be target farmed easily, and feel way more rewarding when you worked for it, rather than liquidating some random bullshit and buying it straight up. It also exposes you to a variety of different farming methods, as PoE has done a great job of getting power from each mechanic, making it so sticking to one never gives you your full 100% power. If you want to anoint your amulet, then you better spend some time in the blight fields. Want to craft some meta gear? Then make sure the essences are well fed, then take them out back. If you want to re-roll your gear, then you will need to harvest your harvests. Guys, it's an actual farm, like there's no analogy I can make here. My point being that SSF is a great way for you to not only learn and experience more parts of Path of Exile, but will also grant more insane dopamine hits, as grinding for a resource that you finally get feels way more rewarding than realizing you finally have enough divines for that same upgrade. Give it a shot. It's not for everyone, but if you can spend dozens of hours in Trade League, then I'm sure you can get a comparable build in SSF if you aren't stupid.
And I'm fucking addicted! So I can't quit!
At the end of the day, if you don't enjoy SSF and have either finished the challenges or found them too challenging, then you can always just quit. Path of Exile was not made to be played for the entire 4 months of a league. If you can get that mileage out of it, then that is fantastic, but don't feel like you're missing out because you could only handle 1 to 2 months. Even our bald savior himself, Chris Wilson, has stated that he has designed the leagues around your ability to play other games. Path of Exile can still be your main game, but be on the back burner. Take this time to refresh your ability to play, exhaust some new options for other games, and get your fill before you become hopelessly trapped in a new league. Whether it be other ARPGs, not that one, or perhaps some different genres, not that one. Do what makes you happy. The worst thing that could happen is that you burn yourself out of PoE permanently, which is no good for when I need to buy my next build. If I see you in one of these PvP games and I say mean things to you, I am not sorry. I most likely meant every single word. What I will say is that whenever PoE starts back, regardless of my experiences with you in my competitive games, I will welcome you back with open arms, as long as you are buying or selling something that I want. Stay safe, but most importantly, stay sane, Exiles. See you next time.